There's nothing like cracking that cellophane and pulling that record out. It just smells great.
Welcome to BODS Mayhem Hour.
Non-stop hardcore energy.
I love the show, guys. You're awesome.
Unlike any other.
With your host, John the Bod, a.k.a. the Bod Father.
Man, this stuff rocks.
This is Matt Zane from Society One, and you're listening to BODS Mayhem Hour.
The views and opinions of the guest do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of BODS Mayhem Radio Network, its staff, affiliates, or sponsors. Parental discretion is advised. Welcome to BODS Mayhem Radio Network.
Hey everybody, welcome to BODS Mayhem Hour. I am your host, John the Bod, aka the Bod Father, and as always, I bring you guys and gals awesome interviews. And today it's an honor and a huge privilege to welcome vocalist Matt Zane of Society One. Society One has released their new single, "I Never Saw You," off their 6th studio album, Black Level 6, which is out now. The album is in memory of D.V. Dirk Karloff. Black Level 6 is the official soundtrack for the movie The Altered Noise. Black Level 6 is available on all digital platforms, and physical copies can be ordered at societyoneBand.com. That's the number one, not O-N-E. So, and say that Black Level 6 so many times in there, guys, and see how many times you get tongue-tied. So how you doing, Matt? Welcome to the podcast, man.
Oh, thank you for having me. And you got everything correct there. I'm absolutely impressed. I know that's a lot to remember and go over to introduce a new album, but you did it. Good job.
I was like, don't screw up on the new album name. Don't screw it up. Don't screw it up. So how you been doing here lately, man? Especially with this album, good results coming back so far that you're seeing?
Yeah, it's a bit of a slow grind, man, quite honestly, because the deal is that, again, I don't expect anybody to know this, but we were scheduled to go out on the road with Static X and Fear Factory and Dope in support of this album in February. And that was the original plan all through last year as we were putting the final touches on this album and getting the music videos done and things of that nature. And then unfortunately, the tour, it got postponed till next year. So we were put in a really difficult situation because, how do we release an album that we can truly promote and really get out there and actually make some waves when we're not going to be touring on it? And it wasn't really enough time to get another tour. So we were really put in a really difficult spot in terms of what to do with this. And we didn't want to wait another year because the album was pushed because of COVID, because of the lockdowns. It was supposed to come out all the way back in 2020. And we didn't want to push it till next year because next year is our 20th anniversary of our biggest record we ever did, Black Level 6. Exit Through Fear. So we have that coming out, that whole anniversary thing to do next year. And in addition to that, the movie, this was an official soundtrack for the movie, The Altered Noise. That's already out. You can already go see that on YouTube. So it was just kind of like, it was a tough call, but we decided to pull the trigger and put it out there. And so it's been a bit of a grind to get it all out there and get it known and all that stuff. But, we're doing all the same things that go along with the new release, the interviews, the publicists, the radio, the social media. It's just that, unfortunately, we just don't have that tour to really drive the point home. And it's unfortunate, but, we're going to do the best that we can. And I feel that we'll still play maybe a couple of these tracks on the tour next year when we go out with Dope and Static X and Fear Factory. And then hopefully people will, discover the record over the course of the next year or so. Maybe a long game, more than just like, oh, here's a wham bam, thank you. Like, here it is, like the big splash.
So yeah, that's a real setback for you guys. But on the bright side, though, you mentioned it's going to be 20th anniversary for you guys next year. So there you go.
It'll be the 20th anniversary for our biggest album, Exit Through Fear. But the band, the first album actually came out in '99. It came out, Slacker Jesus, in 1999, exactly about, I think, 3 months after the first Static X record. So the fact that we're going back out with Static X on our 20th anniversary is kind of wild. So yeah, the band's been around now for releasing albums now for 23, 24 years. It's been around since 96, but we count, the first year usually is when you have your first major release and major tour. And that's when our first one was. So yeah, it's going to be the 20th anniversary though of Exit Through Fear. And that's when Earache Records picked us up and we had, our biggest record, our best selling record in the band's career.
You know, I'm not taking anything away from this interview when I say this, but I'm absolutely happy that Static X, and I know Wayne's passed away and rest his soul, but I'm glad Static X is still doing their thing and they're out there playing these songs. I'm very happy to see, you know, for people that love Static X, there's your opportunity to go see it and listen to it, because I mean, I've caught some of it and it's been pretty awesome from what I've saw.
Yeah, man, touring with them now in the memorial setup with the original members has been really amazing. We did about 10 days in 2019 at the very end of the memorial tour. Then we did another show on the day before everything locked down in 2020, direct support for them. I've known those guys for 20 years now, 20 plus years, actually. I knew Wayne all the way back then. I directed the last 3 Wayne Static videos before he passed. I was on the very last show that Wayne Static played in America. I was on that show. I saw him that night. Society One opened that show, opened for Dope, and then, you know, Dope opening up for Wayne. So yeah, you know, being able to get back out on the road with them and be part of that memorial for Wayne was just awesome. And to see it was great, and see how much respect they're paying for him. Just really happy to be a part of it. And I'm also happy that they asked me to direct majority of the new videos that came out. Like, I don't know if you saw Bring You Down and the one with the kid. I was co-director on all those videos. So and then all the footage that you actually see of Wayne in all the new Static X videos, that I shot that footage. I shot that on a video that for Wayne called Assassins of Youth that I also directed. And I went to the vaults and grabbed that footage and gave it to the guys in Static X to utilize to bring him back to life for his new songs. So yeah, I absolutely don't mind you bringing it up, because I'm very involved with the project on a visual level, as far as a touring level, as far as a personal level. So yeah, I love all those guys and I love what they've done, and I love what they put out there. And I think Wayne would be absolutely happy and really, really into it, because they did it with such respect and they're keeping his music alive. And it's an amazing thing. And it was an amazing experience. And I can't wait to go back out with them next year.
I know this is, like I said before, kind of a little setback for you guys, but how excited are you to have this single, I Never Saw You, released right now?
You know, it just feels great that it's actually out, because I mean, primarily the main reason is that this was the last album that my bass player, former bass player, DV Dirk Karloff, and I did together. And it was an experimental record when we did it. We sat down one day, and not a lot of people know this because nobody reads the press releases that much, but we sat down in a room one day and we were basically like, hey man, what would it be like if we actually recorded an album like the old days, you know? And we discussed, for whatever reason, when Nirvana did it in utero, and they did it like in 7 days or something like that. And they used a producer that was more punk, Steve Albini, and they just kind of went in for that raw sound. And we're like, well, what if we imagine that we went into the studio right after them and we recorded this album? What would it sound like? What would Society One sound like if we just went in and did a record? So when we went in, we said, okay, well, look, first and foremost, there's got to be no vocal tune and no copying and pasting vocals. And nobody does that anymore. That hasn't been done in 20 years, you know? So that was what we did. We kind of just set out, and the bass and the drums were done simultaneously. There was no vocal tune, no copying and pasting on the vocals. And we did the record and we finished it. And I thought it sounded a little too raw. We actually had Greg Hetson from the Circle Jerks and Bad Religion mix it. So we even went that far as like they had a punk guy and Nirvana, you know, kind of produced the record. We had a punk legend and you know, come and mix the records. We really kind of utilized the blueprint for In Utero, kind of what we wanted to do, see what it sounded like. I personally thought the record was a little too raw, but Dirt really loved the record. So I actually did a couple of remixes, which is really funny because In Utero, they actually did a couple of remixes on that album as well for the singles. So I ended up doing the exact same thing that they did in that sense. But with that being said, when Dirt passed away, I knew that he really loved the original mix and the original idea of the album, and he loved the rawness of it and the punk aesthetic. So I just decided to get it together and put it out there and put it out in a way that I knew that he really, really loved. So in that respect, getting the album out it feels great. Getting the movie out feels great. Getting the album out feels great, because I know that he would have loved it. This was his last record that he did that hasn't been released yet. He released, there was 2 other records that came out prior, one right after he passed with his other band Hate Song, and then one with Three Headed Snake that he was on in an EP. But this is the last album of material that he played that's not out there. So it feels really great. And it's just really cool that my band was just so supportive of getting in there and, you know, being in the music videos and going out and playing the material live. Because we still did a couple of shows, couple weeks ago that weren't tied into that tour that got moved. But yeah, it just in that respect, it feels really good.
Here's something else, folks. In Utero was recorded in 6 days. Black Level 6 was recorded in 4 days.
So clarification, so it was recorded in 4 days, but the guitar solos were another additional day.
Right.
And the mixing took longer. The mixing, I think, took 10 days. And yeah, I think like maybe one more day for like vocal, like touch-ups and stuff. So honestly, it was more like, it was around 6, 7, 8 days, somewhere around there. It's just, again, it's that the meat of it though. Yeah, it was 4 days.
I love seeing that because I was actually reading the press release on this, and when it talked about Nirvana's In Utero and where you guys got that idea, I was like, that's cool. Going back and paying homage to saying, hey, look, what about Society 1? Let's do something like that and try it. Doing that, do you ever want to do that again? Is that something that may spark your interest again, maybe, or no?
No, I don't think I'm going to do it again, man. Yeah, it was a cool experience, but man, it was an experiment, dude. It's an experimental record, The next record that comes out next year, which is going to be a continuation of Exit Through Fear. It's going to be all the B-sides that didn't make the original record. I'm just going to do that in the modern way and just do it in some, some DAW, and just to make things a little bit easier, because yeah, it was kind of nerve-wracking, man, doing that record. And honestly, dude, like I listened to the record and I think we won on some of the songs. I think we did it. And then on other songs, I don't think that we did it as well. I think that there's standout tracks and some that, man, we could have just, but dude, it's like, that's just what happens when you just go in there and just go for it. It's a real test to what you can pull off without vocal tune or copying and pasting your vocals or whatever,
Black Level 6 is the band's 6th studio album and the last album yourself and DV Dirt Karloff wrote and recorded together before his passing. How special is it to have this album out right now, and especially with, like I said, with everything tied to this album, and even featuring his last known recordings on bass for this band?
Well, I mean, I'm glad that a lot of people that have heard the music, not knowing the backstory, said, "Wow, man, that's a really amazing bass tone." The bass on this album was mixed very loudly. You can really hear Dirt on this album, and for me, when I listen to the album and I hear that bass so prominently out front, and knowing that he loved it because he heard the mixes before he passed, it's cool again, because I hear it and it reminds me of him, and I can actually hear his attitude and his spirit playing within that album and in those notes. So, I mean, that's really one amazing thing. And just, again, I know that he would have really loved it to be out. And I know he would have loved the movie also. So it's just having both out in the deluxe packages. As soon as I'm done talking to you, the Ultra Deluxe package is available on our website. Those just come out today. Like they were supposed to ship last week, but I'm going to go to the manufacturer and pick those up now. And they're like a double-sided original artwork, dual posters, USB engraved, 95 bonus songs, alternative mixes. Like it's an amazing tribute to him. And we've been selling those like crazy, even though they're kind of expensive, quite honestly, to buy. They're like $40 plus $10 shipping and handling. And they've been selling better than anything. And so I can't wait to get that and even frame it myself and hang it up here with all my other stuff. You probably can't see, but like over here is my memorial plaque from the Wisconsin Death Trip tour that we did. And, Dirt's thing will go like right next to it over here in the studio or somewhere. So man, it's just really great. I'm just glad that I could give this to him and give it to his fans. And I just know that he'd be so happy and so pleased with it. And just the mere fact that I'm doing all this press and getting to talk about it. And for people that don't know who he is and are not aware, maybe go check out the movie, because it's free, number one, on YouTube. And it's a great movie, regardless if you know who he is, who the band is, you don't know who we are. It's still a great rock and roll story.
What are you going to miss the most about DV, man?
Man, I just think like overall, I just think all the fun that we had. I mean, we were in a band for 15 years together. We knew each other for 17 years. And, we toured the world together. I mean, a lot of people don't understand that, like, we were like 19 different countries, 48 states. I mean, we did the Download Festival in front of 80,000 people and made rock history, where I suspended and played with, on that same day as System of a Down and Slayer and Slipknot. And, those were all great memories. The stage is great memories, but it was all the times outside of the playing that I think I'm going to miss equally, maybe a little bit more, because we had a lot of really great times. And you can see a lot of that in the movie. Like we capture a lot, but we were lucky enough to have a lot of the backstage stuff and a lot of the just a lot of the fun that we had and a lot of the craziness. It really was like a party, like whenever we were together. Obviously, later in our career, we had our other jobs that we had to go do and stuff. But when we were together, even later after the big years, it was the moment we got back together and went to go do the shows or the tours, the one-offs or the recording studio or whatever. It was like a constant party, like all the time.
I don't even see how you do the hooks in your back, man, do all that suspension stuff. I cringe. I saw that. I was like, oh God, that's gotta hurt, man.
Yeah, most people, they do cringe and they still cringe from it. And it's really kind of amazing now, because you would think that, I started doing that 20 years later. I was the first rock guy ever to do it in history. I was the first guy ever to sing and suspend in a music video and sing and suspend live. And first guy to ever play guitar while suspending. And I have the world record in longest body suspension with 4 hooks. And you would think that like people would get used to it over the course of the last 20 years of me doing this, or 20 plus years now. But I got to tell you, man, it's really funny. Like, I just started this new TikTok account because, TikTok's all the rage. And it's a legacy TikTok, which covers our entire career. And I posted a lot of the suspensions, and I've been banned from just posting the suspensions. And believe it or not, man, up on TikTok, you've got girls shaking their butts and their boobs. Yep. You've got trans people shaking their members underneath their skirts. You've got, guys talking about their relations with other guys in graphic detail. You've got, all types of stuff up there. I can't even tell you half the stuff that I've seen up there. Mm-hmm. But yet what I'm doing on this day and age, even though it's something I've been doing for 20 years, is too much. Yep. It violates their community guidelines. I've appealed and I've lost every appeal, and they've taken down multiple clips. And interestingly enough, it's only my suspension clips. You can find thousands of suspension videos on TikTok, but whenever my clips go up there, they get taken down at around the 15 to 20,000 view mark. But when they're starting to go viral, they swoop in and they take them down according to their community guidelines. So it's kind of funny to me that something that I'm doing now is considered more controversial than some of the stuff now that I'm shocked. I was on TikTok the other day, and to not get too graphic, there was a female up there that decided that she's a female, and she still is a female, and she identifies as a female, but she decided that she wanted to chop off, surgically remove her breasts.
Oh, wow.
And she cut them off, then they healed, and now she shows them on TikTok, and her boyfriend, she's heterosexual, she has her boyfriend touch her cut off chest, and it's totally fine. It's totally up there. Hey, listen, that's your body. You want to do that? Go do it. I don't have a problem with it. Do I think it's extreme? Absolutely. But the mere fact that they will show that and say that that's okay to get 1 million views on TikTok, that they can't show me on stage singing a song, expressing myself in ways that I choose to express myself. I'm not being violent. I'm not cursing. I'm not being sexual. I'm not showing nudity. And yet what I'm doing is too much, but a female can come up here and show her technically altered, or some would say mutilated chest, and have her boyfriend touch it in a sexual manner, but yet that's okay. Like, I just don't know what's allowed up there and what isn't. I'm about to be banned. My account's about to be banned completely. I'm actually making a backup account now because they already sent me a notice yesterday saying we're gonna kick you off the platform completely because of the content that you're playing. And I'm just like, I don't know what to do.
Yeah, you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. Geez. Yeah. I went through the same stage with my photos. I noticed that when my friend who does my photos for BODS Mayhem Hour, they were getting flagged for community standards. I'm going, all he's doing is putting my logo on these photos. That's it. But yet when I stopped doing that, it stopped.
Yeah, so, listen, if you figure it out, let me know, because
I will.
TikTok's an amazing place because of their algorithms. They don't thwart your traffic depending on your popularity. So it really can reach a new audience. And I was initially But the moment I began to actually release an entire new generation, because dude, let's face it, I've been doing this now for almost 25 years. Like I'm technically an older dude. Like you wouldn't even believe how old I am. But like, you know, so now I was finally reaching a new audience and they're like, no, we're not going to let you do it. And I'm like, well, why? Like, I look at this other stuff that you have up there and I can't get anybody to answer me. Honestly, man, if I had a couple more bucks in the bank, I would sue them for religious persecution and tell them that, you know, the Native Americans used to do flesh poles and the Okipa ritual and stuff like that. And say, well, you know, you don't mind these people in their body modifications doing this, but you can't show me just like doing like, you know what I mean? Like it's not even that bad. I'm not doing anything.
Yeah. You're just hanging from these hooks and spinning. That's it's nothing.
Yeah. And the funny thing is like, why is a piercing in the back any more extreme than all those people with the huge piercings in their ears or their lips or their nose? And you see all those people and all that type of modification to your body and in your nipples, and they show all of this. And it's like, why is it okay for this person to have all these massive, what could be perceived as grotesque piercings? I don't perceive them like that, but like, and through their nose, like, why is it okay to have stuff through your nose, but not through your back? Do you know what I'm saying? So like, it really bothers me, man, because it's such a part of who I am, and it is part of my legacy, and it's I hold it very dear, and it is a sacred thing to me, even though it was entertainment, and they basically won't allow me to get it out to the new generations out there that are you know after me.
It's crazy. What made I Never Saw You the track to be released right now from the album? What made this song stick out to say, hey, this has got to go out right now?
You know, it was just different. It was just a different song. I didn't want the first track off that album to be just like the radio single. The radio single comes next. It's called As I Die, and it's totally a 3-minute catchy, big radio anthem that we actually did have remixed. That's the only track we had on the album remixed to sound proper for radio. With I Never Saw You, I wanted to come out with a track where people that had any preconceptions about who we were and what we did and what we sounded like, I just wanted to put it out there and say, okay, well, listen to this and say like, oh, you guys are cookie cutter or a ripoff or sound like this band or that band. We obviously got comparisons, but the comparisons were awesome. They're like, wow, this is like Alice in Chains meets Stone Temple Pilots meets like Black Sabbath with Odd Time at the end, you know, from like Tool, you know what I mean? And it's like, okay, well, cool. If you want to smush that all together, that kind of synthesizes into something original. And that's just kind of why I did it. I just wanted it to be unique. I wanted it to be different. I wanted to show the depth of the record and the idea that we went out to do this, where we just basically said, hey, there's no rules. We're going to do some odd times. We're going to do some different types of rhythms on this record. We're just really going to expand a little, be experimental, not only with the recording process, but with also how we approach songwriting. And that's what we did. I mean, we did the Beatles on the record. We've got an acoustic song on the record. We got I Never Saw You, which has Crazy Odd Time. We've got like, you know, if you listen to a track on there called Bleed You Away, it's got like weird like country picking on it, you know, in the beginning, but it's like through a distorted guitar. So it was just something that we just wanted to come out and just say, hey, you know what? All those bands that sell all the records right now that everybody loves, they're awesome, they're cool, more power to them, but we're not that band. We spread our wings in a little bit different of a way. So be expected to be taken through like a really interesting ride if you listen to this album from track 1 all the way to track 14.
Yeah, and I got to listen to this thanks to Tracy, and I'm telling you what, man, I was impressed with this, and this is some good stuff that's coming out right now. All For You is pretty badass. Love Is Dead is great. Get Up Again is great. I mean, it's a different flavors of stuff on here, like you mentioned, and I'm impressed with this, man. Honestly.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you so much. You see, the big like challenge now with everything, with all bands, is to see how many people we can actually get it to actually listen to it. Every band believes, and rightly so, I think that they're totally proper in thinking this, that, oh, if we could just get in front of this many people, or if we could just have this many people listen to our album, you know, we'd be more popular and we'd be more successful. But the reality of that is that everybody thinks that, but we don't know until you actually get it in front of people. Mm-hmm. But we're no different. We think, you know, hey, we don't think it's like, you know, has the potential to be like the next Black album or anything like that. We don't think that it's like some, you know, like Alice in Chains Dirt or anything like that. But we do believe that it's unique in today's day and age. And if we feel more people can get it and listen to it, it'll do well, because it's very unique. But we could be wrong. We're just like every other band out there. We're like, oh, listen to our new record. It's really good. So, but we'll see how it does. It's like I said, it's a grind, but everybody that's heard it has said really great things about it, and we are selling it. And this did come out through, our own label, Sadist Messiah Records. So the fact that we don't really even have to sell that many to really make money on it is even extra awesome. So as long as we can get about 10,000 people to like the record and buy it in some form, then we're good.
I still can't believe the Black Album sells as much as it does today. It still blows my mind. I'm just like, wow, God, I'm still selling kicking ass. Jeez.
Well, dude, it's a great record. And
I
remember when the record came out, it's crazy. It's crazy to think that it's still around, but I'm older. So when that record came out, a lot of original Metallica fans were really upset. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Yeah, they were really kind of like, and I was in high school when that came out, and everybody was like, oh my God. But it just started blowing up, and then now it's still going. So it's kind of crazy. You know what I mean?
So, man, did you ever think there would be 6 albums in the Society One Music Library? Did you have that goal, or did you what goal did you want to set to say how many you wanted to portray to get out there?
Oh man, I wanted there to be more. Honestly, I thought there would be more, and I think there would have been more if the pandemic didn't happen. Because once we started releasing records again after that lull, after the live album, we had a lull until a collection of lies, but then we started releasing records pretty fast, or they were supposed to be pretty fast. But then the pandemic happened, and it was just kind of like, so I feel like I have to make up. My goal is I definitely want to get another one out next year, and then maybe another one out next year. Then maybe I'll feel better about myself, because I really thought there was going to be more, because there is enough material to be more. It's just that a lot of them didn't get finished because of one reason or the other. Like there was a lot of label issues way back in the day. Then there was money issues in the middle. Then there was another label issue, and then there was the pandemic. So it's kind of like, it's cool, but like, I did think that there was going to be more than there are.
How much material do you guys have left in the bank, man, that's not been out so far that you got stored away?
Well, we just put out a collection of music called At Odds with the End about maybe 4 months ago. And all it is just leftover stuff. And that was like about 20 something tracks. Mm-hmm. So we got a good 2.5 albums out just with that one. And you can get that off our website, or you can get, I think it's only available on our website. It's a download or a USB. And then other than that, we probably have, honestly, maybe 3 more records worth of stuff. One of them's an acoustic record. Maybe about 1 acoustic record and maybe 2 more albums. I don't know if they ever will come out or not, because like I said, the big project for next year, which we're going to start relatively soon, is that, our 20th anniversary for Exit Through Fear happens next year. And that's our biggest record ever, right? But we don't own that record. Earache Records owns that album. So about a month or so ago, our old A&R guy actually flew out here, and I met him in person. We met down at the Rainbow to have a little meeting. And I was like, look, man, you guys own this record. We have this tour booked. It's our 20th anniversary. Can we work together to do like a reissue with like bonus tracks or whatever, and this and that, and put something together to like really push this? And he liked the idea, but ultimately he went back to his people, and they were like, no. And so it left me in a really difficult position, because why am I going to put all this energy and effort into this record that they own, that they're going to get 100% of everything from, without helping or put anything into it? So we got this great idea to go back into the demos and find all of the material that we were working on during that time, during the exact time. And I picked out with my girlfriend like 10 tracks from all those demos. And we're going to re-record those demos, and it's going to be called Exit Through 20 Fears. And it's going to be an additional album that's going to be like from that time period. Yeah. That's going to be a companion album, but we're going to own the whole thing. And here's the thing, man, not getting too far off into the future, but sure, just to put this in your head so you can gain some excitement, because a lot of people don't realize Exit Through Fear. Are you ready for this? Ivan DePrume played drums from White Zombie on that album, right? Paul Raven from Ministry, Killing Joke, and Prong played bass on that album, okay? Bill Kennedy, who was on the production team and engineered Downward Spiral and Broken from 9 Inch Nails, produced that album. Wade Norton, who has been an engineer on like 50 platinum records mixed that album. Okay. Etzel Dope helped record vocals on that album. He didn't do, he helped produce and engineer the vocals on that album.
Right.
So when we went back into those tapes, man, I'm hearing all those guys in the original tapes during the demos when we're working on all this music and stuff like that. Unfortunately, Bill Kenny's passed away. Paul Raven's passed away. So unfortunately, a lot of those are just demos. I can't use the actual tapes, but yeah, man, it's legit. Like we're actually pulling the B-sides from that to make that new record. So anyways, that's the goal for next year. And that's going to be the big process for that. As far as all those other albums, who knows? But again, dude, I try to stay in shape, and I want to be releasing records for at least until I'm 60. So I have a few more years.
Freaking all-star group right there, folks. If you don't believe me, just go listen to some of their stuff they put out, man. Tell you right now. Any tracks standing out more to you than any right now on this album? If I know these are your babies, I know that you just like picking your favorite child or your favorite sports, whatever, but are any sticking out for you possibly, man? Do you have any favorites?
Yeah, man, I love I Never Saw You. I mean, I love that track. I mean, the standout tracks for me are I Never Saw You. I love As I Die just because Dirt and I wrote it together, and it's just a really cool radio catchy song. Besides that, I really like I like The Ghost Remains just because it's a cool acoustic song, even though there's a mistake in it that, again, because we recorded it the way that we did, that drives me insane. I'm not going to mention where it was. So that's why I don't listen to that one much, but I love the writing on that. And I love Love Is Dead. I love that. I would love to make a video for that. But I think we're leaning towards doing a video for Ride the Pain next, because I've always wanted to make a video where I'm like in a car, like driving in the desert or like something, and how often are you going to write a song with Ride in the title? Like the Doors have Riders in the Storm, you know what I mean? And like this song, Ride the Pain, is just like, and it's got that real slow grinding, like you're just like driving in the desert, like in a muscle car or something, like down there. So I think those are probably my favorite tracks out of the 14.
Are there any tracks that didn't make this album though? We're going to see down the road on another album, or maybe an EP from you guys, maybe.
Yeah, so As I Die originally didn't make it. That was one of the only songs that didn't make the original cut of the album. So Dirt never got to hear the finished As I Die. But when I went back into the album and I was like, man, we really need a radio single. And I went back into the tracks that didn't make the album. I think there was only four or five. And I heard As I Die. And I remember that we wrote about it. We argued about it. And that's why I didn't make the record, because he didn't like it that much. And I was like, Dirt, this is a really great riff. Like, this is really commercial. So that was the one track that I pulled from the tracks that weren't finished. And I was like, yeah, I'm gonna finish this one, Dirt. This is my track. I'm gonna make this the production more of the way that I heard it, and you get to have the other 13 tracks. You know what I mean?
Was there a track that you were working on that totally ended up sounding different than it was intended to when it was brought to the table? Was there one that just took a major turn, possibly, or no?
Not really. I mean, we had to rehearse these so much because we knew we were going in and doing them the way that we did. And it was so crazy. Like, we were sitting in the room and it was like, okay, when we go in there, we're plugging in the drums and we're plugging in the bass, and I'm going to sing with the band, sing scratch vocals, or what, they didn't take those vocals, but like all that other stuff they took. So we were playing like a band. So we had to kind of know how it was going to sound like. So that was the way that it was. The only one that ended up a little bit different was the one that I went back and grabbed. As I Die, actually, it was the one track that was cut up and done up a little bit differently. It's just, and I should really identify it. The record that Dirt heard that he was 100% for was 1 through 13, but I'm the one that went back and picked As I Die and made it all like radio friendly and stuff like that. It's the fine, and that's why I put it last, because even though it's the radio single that's coming out with the video next month, that's the only one. That's the only one that was like snipped up a little bit and fixed up and stuff to give it more of that glossy, big sound. And if you go back and listen to the record, you'll notice it definitely sounds different, but it is 100% still recorded during the time, and it is Dirt, and it is from that same session.
When writing your lyrics, when do you say, okay, let's not go down this way, or can you, or do you just let the lyrics write themselves, if that makes sense?
Man, I mean, I just let them just do their thing. I don't really go one way or the other with them. I like to talk about or think about things that are just mundane, but then talk about them in fantastic terms. And I think that's a lot of what Jim Morrison did. And I gained a lot of inspiration from the way that he would approach his poetry and lyrics. I was very big into the Doors, still am. And side story, I was able to meet the 3 remaining members of the Doors prior to Ray Manzarek passing, which is a whole other story if you're ever interested. But yeah, so for me, like, I'll just go in and I'll have a feeling, and then I'll see what words can come out and color that in a way that obscures any normalcy that may be maintained within the concept, and just try to push across the emotional impact of what I'm feeling. So that's kind of like how I write lyrics. I know that sounds somewhat abstract, but it really is how I go about and do things. I think a lot of people, like Bowie, would, you know, write a bunch of concepts on a piece of paper and put them in a thing and pull them out. I heard that story and whatever. But for me, I really like get meditative in a sense of, okay, well, what's going on right now? And even if it's something as mundane as a lot of themes on this album, like having a breakup in a relationship, you know, how am I going to color this in a way that's going to really explain the depth of what I'm feeling? You know what I mean? And that's how, you know, my lyrics come across like they do, you know? And a lot of times when I would do that, and the more esoteric they get, the more dirt would like them. You'd be like, oh yeah, I really like where you're going with that. So you'd kind of be my cheerleader in that sense. So there really isn't any rules or anything like that. The only rule is if it ends up sounding too mundane, then I'll rewrite it.
It's so cool to meet another Doors fan, because I absolutely love the Doors. I'm glad their music's still relevant to this day. Still, like, Love Me 2 Times and The End is my 2 favorite songs by that band. Just
yeah,
great.
Well, you'll appreciate this. You know, like I met Ray Manzarek prior to passing, the keyboard player, multiple times. I actually gave him my spoken word record. He actually listened to it, believe it or not. But I never worked with Ray Manzarek. But I got to meet John Densmore, the drummer. I worked with him, filmed him for a project in his house, and got to meet him and talk with him about the Doors and about Jim Morrison, which was unbelievable. And he ended up actually giving me his email. And then I ran into Robbie Krieger and met him through his drummer that he has now, Ty Dennis. And I ended up photographing Robbie Krieger multiple times and talking with him multiple times. He ended up giving me his email as well. And ultimately, I was one of the main photographers that shot the 50th anniversary of the Doors down in Venice Beach when it happened like 4 years ago. That's and cool. The Doors actually ended up using about 13 of my photos. So I woke up one morning and all on Facebook was the Doors tagged Lord Zane, the Doors tagged Lord Zane. And my phone blew up for the next 2 days because LA Weekly was using my photos. All over online, they were using it. Like the Doors were tagging me in their actual photos that I took of them at the 50th anniversary. And funny story, dude, like I shot that thing. When I got home, I pulled a couple of quick images of the drummer, John Densmore, and I sent it to him that night. And he actually emailed me back. And he's like, oh, dude, these are cool. Thanks. And he used them for his own social media as well.
That's awesome. So,
yeah, man, like my dream come true. You know what I mean? And the other last thing I'll say about the Doors, just so you can be really blown away. When I was on one of my press tours for Exit Through Fear, I actually flew over to Europe for a big press tour. And one of the first places that I went, first or second, was Paris. And I told my publicist when I got off the plane, I said, I'm not doing one bit of press until you bring me to Jim Morrison's grave at Père Lachaise. And they're like, we have 13 interviews today, including Rolling Stone. We can't do that. And I said, I'm not doing it unless you bring me to his grave. So they brought me to the grave in my full getup at that time. This is when I was full on goth still. And I looked at all these hippies there. And they're like, who the hell is this guy, right? I have this on video. I'm going to post it as soon as I find it, because I'm archiving all my legacy stuff for all the social media. Yeah. And I went up to the grave, and I sat at the grave, and I sat down, and I'm touching the grave, and I have video of me filming my hand on the grave. I'm right at his grave. And then, I went up, and then I went off and did my thing. The reason why that story is so special is because if I went back to Paris multiple times after that for touring, but I never quite made it back to his grave because I was very busy doing whatever. The very next year, they fenced off his grave, and you cannot get within 20 feet of it anymore. You have to look at it through a fence that surrounds the entire grave site, and you can't even get within a throwing distance almost of it, because it's the second biggest tourist attraction. So now the only experience that you can have, you can't even, like, you have to know somebody super high up in the government in Paris to be able to get through the gates or in the cemetery to be able to get actually to his gravesite. So I am like beyond grateful that one of my dreams was always to go pay my respect and be there and I was able to do it. And I barely made it. And most people are too young to realize that that's not what his gravesite always was. Because you go now, there's hundreds of people around there and they put stuff in the fences and whatever. And they're like, I visited Jim Morrison's grave. And I'm like, no, you didn't. You got close. But like, I actually got to go there. And this was in 2023 or 2, one of those years that I went. And that's how long ago. It was 20 years ago. So luckily I just made it before they fenced it off.
2003, you got to go over there? Possibly?
I think it was 2003. I'll check when I finally find the tapes. I'll check the date, but it was around there. I think it may have been 2023. And what, it's 2000, yeah, so about 20 years ago.
That's so awesome, man. I'm glad you got to experience that. See, even for you to be a musician, you still got your idols just like I do, for me. That's awesome. That's amazing, dude. Honestly, that's really cool.
Dude, I'm with you. Like, I can tell that you're a music fan, and a lot of people that me think like, oh, you did all these suspensions and played in front of this, and you've done that, and you've directed all these videos for these massive stars and worked with the Doors and Zakk Wylde and John 5 and Wayne Static and Run DMC and like whoever, and they think like I'm just gonna be like, oh yeah, because I'm just so cool, But yeah, I never like got to that level, man. I'm still like a fan of music, and I'm still a big fan of a lot of these people, and even though I've worked with them, and it's just never really changed for me. And dude, I hate to say my age, but it's public now. I'm almost 50 years old. I'll be 50 years old in 2 years, and I'm still, in a sense, I have that wonderment and that enthusiasm and that love, not only for music, but for music history. And it's for a lot of my idols and a lot of these people as well, dude, I've worked with John 5. I worked with him for 4 years once straight and did like 7 videos for him. And I've been over his house and helped him build his guitar TV amplifiers and blah, 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 blah. But dude, there still was never a day where I couldn't sit down with him. And I'm like, dude, tell me what it was like playing with David Lee Roth. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? And like, he would tell me he's a very nice individual, but I'd still be enthused. Yeah. Do you know what I'm saying? Yeah. And dude, I worked with Wayne Static and knew Wayne Static for 20 years, even before he was famous. But I won't lie to you, dude, when it was 4th of July and we were at his house in his backyard watching the fireworks, listening to Pig Hammer before anybody else did, I was the first person that ever heard it. I was like, this is fucking cool. You know what I mean? Like, and I knew Wayne for all those years and I worked for him. And you know what I mean? And like, I still thought he was a rock star and thought he was awesome. And I still think he's awesome. You know what I mean?
I know exactly what you mean. Yeah. You get starstruck. And I mean, like when I do these interviews and I'm lucky and I'm blessed that I get to do these interviews, I get excited. It's like I'm getting to be put on stage. You know what I mean? I get those chill bumps. It's like, all right, I'm gonna get to interview this guy. I'm gonna get a good flow going, get his stuff out there. And then, it's a win-win situation for both of us because we're helping each other.
Yeah, dude. I totally feel you, man. And, I don't know if I'll ever really get over that because to me, dude, like every time I do it, it's amazing. Like, dude, I've known Dave Navarro now for years, and Dave Navarro's in the Altered Noise movie, and he was nice enough to do a little thing in it. But like when I got to perform with him, like it was amazing, When I got to write a song with DMC from Run DMC, I was like, when the first time I heard his voice on a track that I wrote, I cried.
Oh yeah, yeah.
It was like, and I'm not lying, and dude, I could open my phone right now and show you all this, the famous, but like, it doesn't matter. My band looks at my phone and they're like, is this really so-and-so? Is this really this? Is it? And I'm like, yeah. And they're like, you have all these numbers. I'm like, yeah, dude. And I'm excited about it just like you are. Like I get a call from some of these people sometimes and I'm like, hey dude, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
it's so cool. It's so cool that, and I see you as a big rock star still, man, honestly, but it's so cool that I've met a couple of my idols that saved my life. And you're thinking like, don't get starstruck, just be normal, be cool. And it's hard to do that sometimes, but once you start talking to them, you just find out, man, they're just like you. They're just regular people, and it's cool though. I mean, I still get, like I said, I got chill bumps on me right now from talking. From doing this. I absolutely love it. I eat, breathe, and sleep this, man. If I could do this every single day of the week, 24/7, I'd do it. And that's the God's honest truth.
Yeah, well, listen, man, I totally feel you. So you're not alone in that respect. And even when you are on the stage sometimes like me, or sometimes behind the camera and working with these guys, even it still gets to me, dude. Trust me. Like we could do a whole nother show where we could just talk about who was Matt Zane worked with and tell stories about it. You know what I mean? For real. And I would give you a list and you'd be like, holy crap. And then I'd be like, yeah, this time I worked with Zach Wild. He's sitting on set talking about stories with Dimebag. You know what I mean?
Oh,
or
wow.
I could tell you about when I met Dimebag and came to one of my shows. You know what I mean? And came to the merch table and that whole thing. Or I could tell you about when, you know, whatever. I mean, it just goes on and on and on, you know, like it's a whole nother story, you know, like a whole nother interview, like just that alone.
What do you hope everyone takes away while listening to these new singles when they come out on this album, or any of Society One's music in general? What do you hope they get from it?
Man, I just hope they just enjoy it and just it provides something that they want in life at that point in time, and that's it. You know, same thing when I listen to music. You know, when I listen to music, I just hope that it gives me something that I want at that time and fulfills at that time, whether it be happy, sad, angry, fun, relief, transcendent, whatever. I mean, that's all I really want people to take away from it, and just enjoy it, just get into it. This last record specifically, you know, I hope that people think about Dirt, you know, when they listen to it and they can hear that bass and, you know, he could just live on, you know, in that sound until, you know, we get a chance to meet again.
What's your thoughts on Society One being a voice for people who feel like they cannot speak or say the words that needs to be said? Because I know me and you both have been there, and a band's helped us out before.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I think sometimes as an artist, you do provide that outlet for somebody that isn't an artist themselves. You know, they want to experience or get forth something. And they're not able to do it in a creative way that you can do for them. And so by sharing your music, they can get across what they're trying to portray. Like, I feel like this right now, like, or I'm so crazy or so wild, I want to put this post of this dude suspending in front of 80,000 people, you know, or I'm feeling, you know, really weird. So I'm playing this track, I Never Saw You, because it's got all this weird odd time in it at the end, you know, or something, you know, and so I hope I'm able to do that for people sometimes. And I've been told that I am, and you know, I think that's really cool.
It is. It's beautiful when you, and it's sad that people have to go through that they feel like an outcast, or they feel like they don't belong, or nobody's their friend, but yet they could turn to music, and then music's their family. Everything you say, they live through you. You know what I'm saying? That you're their voice. And it's beautiful how music relates to people who are going through stuff like that.
Yeah, man, absolutely. You know, I don't know where I would be without music. You know, I'm the same thing as you. I think it saved my life, and I think it continues to save my life. And it just not only saves my life, it makes life more enjoyable, and it helps in just so many different facets of life. You know, and again, you know, not to this record specifically, Black Level 6. Like, you know, it's that record for me where it'll always be special because it's that last record that Dirt and I got to do, and it's everything is going to be involved: the sound, the process of writing it, of recording it, you know, of playing the songs live, and you know, all that stuff. So, you know, I get it, and I hope his friends and family also can listen to it and get a little of that from it as well.
Your thoughts on the loss of Foo Fighters drummer Taylor Hawkins? Because I mean, to me, when I heard, I was blown away. I had to sit here for a good 5-10 minutes to say, is this legit? Is this real?
You know, dude, it in a way, it hit too close to home, because I just lost a band member last year.
Yeah.
This year. Was it last year. And so I couldn't really get too emotionally involved, because it was just honestly too much for me to take, because I think Dave and him knew each other for 20 years. So that was close to how long Dirt and I knew each other for. And same thing, Dirt was the most recognizable guy in the band, just like Taylor Hawkins was the most recognizable guy in the band behind Dave. And he was a big part of that, his image, you know, him coming out in front of the drums and singing songs and all that. And it was the same thing with Dirt and I. So for me, it hit so close that I really couldn't get that into it, because it's just too hard, because I know the pain that not only Dave's going through, but Dave Navarro, because Taylor also played in Dave Navarro's band. That was the side band they had together. And so, yeah, I know exactly what they're going through and how hard it would be. But on a personal level, like I I had to really step back from it, and I really couldn't feel, I think, everything that I normally would have felt, because it would tie into my own stuff, you know. And honestly, I'd never met Taylor. I never got to meet him. So I think if I had, and we had any personal relationship, I think it would have sent me over the edge, just because of, you know, having, you know, because you got to understand, dude, like I knew Lynn Straight from Snot very, very well. And he passed, obviously, but that was years and years ago. So I had a lot of time to heal. But then, you know, when Wayne passed, it was rough. That was tough to do. And then Tara only made it a little over a year after that. And I knew Tara before Wayne. And she, you know, took her own life. You know what I mean? But, you know, I had, I don't know, 4 years, 5 years before Dirt passed away. So some time to heal. But man, if I would have known Taylor in that respect in only less than a year, I think it would have been way too much to handle. So anyways, again, it's something that I was absolutely aware of. My heart went out to his band members and his family and his friends. But for me personally, it was something that I had to kind of take in and acknowledge, but just be like, you know, you gotta continue to heal on your end before you can like fully process this.
The thing that hit me the most is like me and my best friend, we were talking about this, and I love Nirvana, man. I absolutely love Nirvana. Not every song, you know, because you don't like every song that every band puts out, and that's everybody. But the majority, I love Nirvana. And I thought, oh my God, man, he just lost Kurt Cobain in Nirvana. Now he's dealing with Taylor from Foo Fighters. I mean, these are two iconic members from two iconic bands. I mean, how I hope Dave bounces back from this, because this is huge.
Dude, it's yeah, I mean, I was aware of that as well. I mean, but thankfully he had at least, you know, 20, 25, 30 years to heal.
Yeah,
you know,
I got, yeah.
But yeah, dude, my heart goes out to the guy. I don't know Dave Grohl. It's one of the guys I've never met. But yeah, dude, I feel for the dude, you know, like because I get it. You know, I understand it. I've gone through it, and I'm going through it, and it's just it's tough. I wish there was something that I wish I did know him, so I could offer condolences or just to be there from somebody that's going through it less than a year ago. You know what I mean? But I just, you know, it's just there's nothing I can do. So I just every once in a while just send some good vibes that way, and that's all I can do.
Folks, you want to get out and pick up Society One's new single, I Never Saw You, off their 6th studio album, Black Level 6, and also pick up that album too. And also watch the Altered Noise. Well, this is a soundtrack. I'm sorry. Black Level 6 is the Altered Noise soundtrack. So pick that up and get out and check out the movie that's out right now.
Free on YouTube. You can check it out. It's up there right now. Type in the Altered Noise. It should DV Karloff, the Altered Noise, and it's a great rock movie. It's
free, folks. It's free. If you love music, go watch it. It's free, man. So anyway, Matt, how can folks stay in touch with you guys? Buy some merchandise, tour dates, this album, the singles, everything, all one Society One. How can they do that, good sir?
Man, I mean, for people that don't have a good memory, just go to the website, societyoneBand.com. Everything links right from there. We got merch. We got all the links. I mean, it's basically just a landing page to direct you to wherever else you want to go. You can always write us through there. You can always get all our merch up there. You can, but right at the bottom, there's all the social media links. And that's what we're very active on, because that's just what people go to. We're on all of them. We're on Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, as long as they let me, Instagram. All of those. So you can find all those links on societyoneBand.com. It's all right there.
And I'm also going to post all these links in this interview when I post it. So I'll have your back on that too.
Thank you very much.
Before I let you go, good sir, would you care to do a promo for my show?
Sure, no problem. Hi, this is Matt Zane from Society One, and you're listening to BODS Mayhem Hour.
Everybody stick around. We got some great stuff coming up, and you only hear these interviews right here on BODS Mayhem Hour. Please get on and check out our Facebook page. It has our podcast link and our YouTube link. And please get off your asses and subscribe to my YouTube link, because we got some great stuff on there. Trust me. And please get out and support Society One. Pick up their new single, I Never Saw You, the new album. Please support this band. I guarantee there's a song out there that you will like by this band, and I cannot stress that enough. But Matt, I wish you guys nothing but the best of luck, and you're welcome on here anytime you want, my man.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. And make sure you check out the movie too.
I'm definitely going to do that this evening, sir.
All right. Let me know what you think.
We'll do. We'll do.
You're listening to BODS Mayhem Hour.
Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.